Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back here. It's Thursday, 7:23, and even though the Rumble this year unfortunately fell victim to the pandemic, we have so much excitement with all of our racers and building up our YouTube channel and everything like that. We really felt a need, due to the response of the Rumble Mumble, to continue with it, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Obviously, like you said, we're unfortunately not racing in the Colosseum next week, but I think the excitement built up for this event this year. It kind of had to continue some way, so I'm glad to be back here doing these.
Yeah, and tonight we're fortunate to have with us Dillon Nusbaum from Warsaw, Indiana. Dillon, welcome on board.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, here we are a week away from what would have been the Rumble, and just like with only a month to go, having to cancel the event. Uh, I'm sure you share the disappointment that we all do on this, but just tell us what you had planned for this year's invasion over at the Coliseum.
Last year we broke out a non-wing 600 for the first time. It was kind of a thrown together deal. We weren't really sure what to expect, and we felt like we were pretty competitive, but we had some ground to gain a little bit. So we've been working the past few weeks trying to prepare for the Rumble and just in hopes that it would be able to happen. Um, and as we all know, unfortunately, it's not going to this year.
Yeah, so usually you ran carts inside the Colosseum. What kind of made you make the jump into a 600?
Um, I was tired of getting beat up as far as physically running the cart in there. It's really hard on your body in those carts to as low to the ground as they are and as quick as everything happens. The last time I raced there, I um, got into the wall pretty good, and I think that was probably an eye opener that it was time to get in something that had a little more cushion if you did get in a wreck.
Yeah, I know a couple of weeks ago we had Stephen Berlin on here, and he was talking about that, especially with the cage carts and the flat carts and everything, just the G forces there. And like you said, everything happening so quickly around there. So, yeah, he did make mention of that also. But, Dillon, I have to ask you this. You did the carts, and then you jumped up into the 600, but outdoors, it's the modified racing that you pretty much excel in, and you've had pretty good success with the modified.
Yeah, the past 2 years have been really good to us. We had a really good season this year. We won the Kokomo Clash, probably my biggest win to date in anything. Um, Really excited about where my modified program's headed. Um, just got to keep working at it.
And I think the Kokomo Clash, uh, like you said, that's your biggest win, and that was up against 70 modifieds. So how cool is that?
Yeah, we were really excited. There was a lot of really, really good cars there. Like you said, a little over 70 cars showed up for it. Um, Hopefully, we can one of these days get some sponsorship rounded up for that race, as big as it is, as many cars as it pulls. Hopefully, we can get some sponsors for it and get the pay scale up there.
Okay.
So obviously, you're excelling in modifieds now, but how did you get into racing? How what was your path to be able to start winning some big races in dirt modifieds?
My dad raced uh, basically his whole life as well. Racing's been in my family since you know probably back in the wooden wheel days. Um, my dad really pushed me as hard as he could and as far as we could go financially to get behind the wheel of anything I could get behind the wheel of. And we started out in go karts. My first year racing go karts was 2003. I won my first track championship in 2004. And I've probably last year, maybe the year before was the first year I haven't actually gotten into a go kart and done some type of race, whether it be outdoors, indoors, whatever it be. And maybe getting older is to blame for that, but I'm having a lot of fun in the modifieds.
I have to ask you this. Looking on your Facebook page, you always make reference to your car, calling it Miss Polly. What's the story behind that?
It's actually my mom actually named it that.
Okay.
She takes care of all the social media stuff, but the last car we bought actually had a sticker inside of it. The guy's wife or girlfriend's name must have been Molly. So that's what we named my old car. And then when we got this new car, it's called a Pierce Platinum. So she just took the Molly and turned it into Polly.
Well, I know you were always worried, like when it would get a little crinkle in it and stuff. You're talking about how Miss Polly's not going to really enjoy this tonight. So that's the neat thing about racing is just the ability for people to relate to things like that, and it involves the people and the human interest. I think more than anything.
Yeah, I've named my fair share of vehicles. I think most racers have. I'm curious though, does the 600 you race indoors, does that have a name?
It doesn't. Maybe we'll have to come up with something for it. Maybe that's why she was so mean to me last year, because we haven't given her a unique name yet.
I I think that's it.
There you go. I think maybe a social media contest next year to name Dillon's 600. But you talk about the unique thing, and this is something that I kind of know about. But I also read that back in February, you went down to Clarksville, Tennessee, and raced in the toilet bowl, and did real well down there. Finished third, but I believe that race has kind of a unique trophy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the first night of the race, the trophy is actually a plunger, and then the second night, the trophy is a big toilet bowl, a big bathroom toilet that they wrap it, put all their sponsors and stuff on it, and that was this year was the first time we went down for that, and I think we'll definitely probably gonna have to make the trip down again, see if we can get a new toilet for the bathroom.
There you go.
Man,
I mean, how neat would that be to have people walk in the house and say, "Here's my trophy," and they're looking at a wrapped up toilet bowl.
man, I don't know if I'd want to win that trophy.
Oh, it's that tradition's gone back quite a few years. I know the promoter down there used to come to the promoters' workshops, and that was kind of always the talk was about the toilet bowl. Dylan, this year it was a tough year for everybody, and the first part of the year racing in front of empty grandstands at some of the tracks. What, how do racers feel about that? I mean, what's the atmosphere like when there's nobody in the grandstands?
You know, it's different. I would say, to me, I didn't really notice much of a difference because we kind of had a slow start to the season. But I think where it would really show is, when if you won a race and you got out after the race and looked up and didn't see any fans there, it'd definitely be weird. And we were very thankful to be able to race it all. Hopefully in the springtime, this COVID stuff's under control and we can get started on time and hopefully put some of this behind us.
I know that is a big hope, but just last week they announced that the Daytona 500 they were going to they're faced with the crowd restrictions. So I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And let's just hope that by next year it's gone away because the interest in the Rumble this year was at an all-time high and a lot of new interest in the 600s. So I'm kind of curious. You said you were trying some new things. What are new things that you can try? I mean, what is it that you want to work on your 600? And I mean, obviously you have a whole year to work on it now, but what are the areas that you really want to improve upon with your 600?
Well, the biggest thing that we had started working on was a little bit of more visual appeal. If anybody saw my 600 last year, they know it was not the prettiest thing in the building. We kind of just threw it together and wanted to see how it was going to go before we put too much time in making it look good. So that was the biggest thing we worked on. We're trying to get the car a little more stable. These things like to, for some reason, these indoor cars, a lot of the midgets will do it as well. They kind of like to jump around when you try and roll out of the throttle. So we've got a couple ideas of how we can help that out. Got a lot of smart people behind me that know what they're doing, and that's just one of the things we're working on trying to improve.
I've seen a lot of crazy things tried inside the Colosseum, to try and, like you said, when you're rolling off the throttle and stuff. I mean, those cars handled so erratically inside there. How hard is that to? I don't know if you have experience in 600s or not, but how hard is it to transfer from karts or from your modified to setting up a 600 on concrete?
Um, I've never even raced a 600 outdoors. Doing it at the Rumble is the only time I've ever really been behind the wheel of a 600 before. I do have a little bit of experience with pavement modifieds, and we kind of just last year were applying some of that knowledge and just applying just the basic stuff that we've learned over the years from racing in there. Keeping up with the track's really big. I mean, it's really big in a go kart, but it's important in a 600 or anything else too, with the way the rubber lays and picks up and track temps and all that stuff really play into effect.
That's kind of been the common denominator on a lot of our Rumble Mumble episodes. People referring to the track and the changing of the track conditions, and I would think that that may be where your dirt track experience comes in, because you're always chasing the track in dirt tracks and indoors. Yeah, it has changed, and we were really, really excited about this year's format in that we were going to split the program per se, in that the go-karts and quarter midgets would run their whole program, and then the 600s and the midgets would run their whole program. I think more than anything to try to get some consistency to the track.
Yeah, in years past, racing go karts, that was always the big thing. Being down in the basement, you definitely got your steps in for the weekend, running back and forth, trying to keep up with the track, and that's why you'll see a lot of go kart guys run multiple classes so that they can just keep up with the racetrack. We used to not be too terribly upset if we had to run a B main when we did the go kart stuff, because that gave you another opportunity to keep up with the racetrack even more.
So obviously, you have experience running both karts and 600s in the Rumble. Which is there one you prefer? Is there one that's easier to keep up with?
I definitely think the 600 stuff's probably easier to keep up with. They're a little more forgiving. The go kart stuff, tires are so important that if you miss it by a little bit, there's guys in there that are just so good that don't ever miss it. And I like the 600 stuff. I think it suits me a little bit more. It's fun to have a little bit more power to get down the straightaways, and you can make up for mistakes a little bit with the gas pedal too.
I'd like to remind everybody that here we are again on the Rumble Mumble, and tonight our guest is Dillon Nusbaum from Warsaw, Indiana, as we're coming in to you from the Fatheadz Eyewear Studio in Indianapolis. A big shout out to Rico and Carl and everybody at Fatheadz for providing the studio, and just announced a week or so ago that Fatheadz has come on board as a sponsor of this show. So we're looking forward to that, and looking forward, I think, to really wearing the sunglasses that Rico's going to provide for us.
That's right.
But Dillon, what a neat deal. You get to work in racing day in and day out by working at Tony Elliott's custom trailers up there. So you talk about, we all know the history of Tony Elliott in racing, and the Rumble was very important to him. So are you able to pick up from the people that come in and out of the shop there some of the, you talk about some important people helping you? Is any of that coming out of your job there at Tony Elliott's?
I get to meet and deal with a lot of really neat people here at Elliott's. Really got a great opportunity. We see quite a few of Tony's old friends, and uh, like I said, we're in the middle of the racing community. Um, I've picked up some knowledge from some people I've done business with. You know, just one big name is Nick Hoffman. He was the UMP modified national champion this year, and I was able to sell him a trailer about midsummer. And Nick and I have picked up a decent friendship from it, and just it's really neat to do business with the kind of people I get to do business with.
So tell us a little bit about. We'll go back to your outdoor season since that was so successful for you this year. Uh, any big shout outs for anybody that's really come like on board to help you out, whether it be crew members, sponsors, or anybody that you really want to give a salute to for that great year?
Yeah, first and foremost, I've got to give a big thanks to Terry Flory at Plymouth, Indiana Dairy Queen. I think everybody in northern Indiana probably knows about Terry now. He's done a lot of help, sponsored a lot of races and a lot of racetracks. Terry's awesome for the sport. Um, Wish we could find more people like Terry, to be honest with you. And one of my good friends, Dillon Woodling, WR Customs, he's always there to let me pick his brain a little bit if I have any questions. He's a really smart guy, and if he doesn't have the answer, he'll usually find it for me.
I think you're the first person to tell us that Dillon Woodling had a brain. We just love to pick on him. You're right. We interviewed him last year. Him and of course his dad Randy. They been around racing forever, and it's just that Warsaw area. Uh, it's a hotbed for racing. It really is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something in the water or what it is, but there seems to be a lot of really good racing talent over in this area. Um, it really makes living around here a lot of fun.
So obviously coming off a pretty successful year this year, what are your plans for next year?
I think next year's probably just the same plans. I spent a lot of the last 2 years driving for Kim Wheeler at Team Wheeler Racing. Uh, Sounds like they're probably going to step out and probably just become spectators more than anything. And I'll be just doing my own thing again. Um, just refreshing the modified stuff and getting ready to go again.
Always interesting stories. I think the fans kind of behind the scene always wonder car numbers. Is there a story behind the 17 that you've chosen as your car number?
So the 17 came from it was my dad's racing number. And then he got it from one of his really good friends. His name was Sean, he was killed in a car accident way before I was even born. But when my dad acquired his number, I just kind of acquired it from my dad when I started racing.
That's cool. That's always a neat story.
If you were racing, what number would you be, Larry?
Well, not if I used to race actually stock cars and go karts, and a cute story on that. My number was zero because that way when I flipped, the number was still zero, and people could understand my number. And so yeah, but seriously, that number came from my childhood hero was Todd Gibson, a super modified driver who just a week or so ago passed away at the age of 83. And so my number came out of my hero, and that's how I carried that forward. Dillon, you made the jump from the go karts into the 600. Is there a midget in the future at all for you? Do you think?
Yeah, I've joked around before and said that if I ever found myself successful in the 600, and I would probably try and figure out something to get a midget together to race in there. Um, I think it'd be a lot of fun. Um, definitely a tough crowd in there in the midget class, but I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I think it's something we could definitely do.
So what success would you have to see in the 600s to make that jump?
I don't know. I'd like to win a couple features in there. It's one thing I haven't done is won a Rumble race yet. Not saying it's not possible, but definitely got a lot of work to do to make it happen.
You've got some tough company there in the 600 in the likes of Johnny Ivy, Larry Joe Schrauf, uh, Jason Ormsby. I mean, these guys have been around forever, and they're not getting any younger, and you're still young. So, uh, maybe we coach them into retirement, and then that'll make your job just a little bit easier.
Yeah, I like to give Jason Ormsby a little bit of a hard time anytime I see him. Of course, he's from here in Warsaw also. The last year being my first year in a 600, I did pass him for the lead in the heat race, uh, and then the caution came out. So um, I definitely like to give him crap for it because he definitely has a lot more experience, but he's one of those guys that you definitely have to keep an eye out for.
So the caution came out, and you had to go back. Did he wave at you when he went back ahead of you?
Yeah, I may have used the bumper on him a little bit when I did pass him, and I don't think he was very happy about it. We had a talk pre-race that the top two made the feature, and we just both needed to get into the feature, and apparently that went in one ear and out the other because I wanted to win it.
So
That's a cute story.
I'm really interested to see. I know not everyone, but a lot of people wait until that last little crunch time to get ready for the Rumble. And I know a lot of people were pretty close to being ready for this year, but now we have a whole nother year. So how close are you to being ready for next year's Rumble?
Um, to be honest with you, when I read the post that the Rumble was canceled, I cleaned up shop and pushed the car back in the corner and put the cover back over it because I got plenty of time again. So,
So it's going to be
um,
the 2 to 3 week crunch again next year then.
I think we'll see a
yeah,
lot of that.
exactly.
Well, we're about ready to wrap this up. Dillon, we kind of gathered a couple things. We had a great year in the modified. Really looked forward to the Rumble this year. Unfortunately, we all know that it has been canceled. Next week would have been right at this time. You'd have been out there getting some hot laps, but not going to happen. We know the 600's there. You've set some goals for that. You want to go back racing next year on the dirt. So I don't think we've seen the end of you yet.
I hope not. Hopefully, we can get the 600 ready to go and be back at the Rumble next year. Hopefully, bring home some hardware.
Well, we're looking forward to it because as Kyle and I were talking on the way down here, the interest this year, I don't know if it's because there wasn't enough outdoor racing, but the interest this year was at a unique high, the midgets especially, but each of the 600 classes would have had like 6 new faces in it. So I think that the worry of indoor racing is going away, and the racers are saying, hey, it's not a bad deal. I'm going to go give it a shot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are starting to take a liking to it. This time, I mean, this time of year, you don't get to do a whole lot of racing anyway, and it never fails about Christmas time. Everybody gets the itch. So hopefully, the Rumble is a success for many years to come. And as long as Larry doesn't throw me out and we're having a good time, we'll be there.
Well, I've never thrown anybody out. I may have yelled or hit you over the head or something, but I've never thrown anybody out. I like the pit pass money too much. But no, in all seriousness, Dillon, we thank you for coming on board here and joining us tonight. We wish you a lot of success, a happy holiday season. And Kyle, December 17th and 18th next year, we'll be back inside the Colosseum.
Yep, starting the countdown already.
Okay, so from the Fatheadz Eyewear Studio, we again thank Dillon Nusbaum for coming on board. And don't forget, you can follow the Rumble on all of our social media channels and our new YouTube channel, Kyle, that you put together.
Yep, Rumble in Fort Wayne. Like and subscribe, and we're going to be putting a lot more content on there in the coming months.
And we'll get to see Dillon there. So thank everybody for joining us tonight. And we're probably going to take a couple weeks off around Christmas time. But keep your eyes on Thursday, 7:23 for the Rumble Mumble.